More Kiwis die from sudden cardiac arrest than are killed on our roads every year. This is our greatest killer, our biggest killer. So our next guest has decided to change this grim stat by installing thousands of life-saving defibrillators. These things will save your life. If you've got one of these things, you've got a chance of living. If you haven't, she's toast. Could be you. Joining me now is co-director of the defibrillator store, Nick Thorpe. Nick, nice to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me, Duncan.
We hear about these things. What do they do?
They save lives.
How?
Effectively. They restart the heart. So if you have a cardiac arrest, your heart stops effectively. Your electrical circuitry in your heart is quivering, and it needs to be reactivated and restarted, just like a battery in a car getting jump started.
And so, yeah, that's effectively what it is, isn't it? This is to get things going again. How much do they cost, and why are you doing this, and why haven't we had a history of these things in New Zealand in the past?
Well, yeah, they cost around between $2,000 to $3,000 average. A cabinet's extra on top of that, but we've seen a big growth in the number of defibrillators over the past few years. But the big problem we've got is most of these defibrillators, the vast majority, are locked away in offices after hours.
We don't know where they are. I mean, I think there was one at our school, and it was up high, and it was in a cabinet that was locked, and the door was locked as well. So it was two locks, actually.
And that's the problem. They're normally behind the reception desk, underneath in a shelf or in a cupboard, and no signage, and no one's seen it for the last year.
Yes. So who are you selling them to, and where are they going?
We're selling them to anyone in New Zealand. We're focused on community members, people in the public, trying to get a defibrillator accessible 24/7 is the key, is getting it outside and available to anybody. Has
the Ministry of Health come forward with a big blank cheque and put them everywhere around New Zealand or not?
That's the problem. We've got no government funding. We're working with councils, but they're happy to support, but no funding as such. So we have to do it ourselves as a community.
Right, okay.
If you have these things on the wall, let's say, you say they're hidden, and you have them beside the fire extinguisher, let's say, well, when you have the problem of people running around, basically trying to fry each other? Because, I mean, we've all had a go with the fire extinguisher when we shouldn't have.
They won't work. You don't have to be scared of them or worried. They won't work if someone's got a heartbeat. So if you apply them to somebody that's standing up and you push the shock button, it's not going to do anything.
They're mark-proof.
Exactly. The key message is they are so simple to use. They're designed for the layperson with no experience for.
Because there's no time to waste. I mean, if you haven't got any good instructions, someone's going to die. So
that's what I want to know. So if, say, Duncan falls over now, what would I do? What's the first thing I should do, and how do I go about it?
Take my job.
Yeah, I
just push him aside. He's gone.
The first thing you do, well, to see what a cardiac arrest, you look to see if they're not responsive, whether they've got a pulse or whether they're breathing. If none of the above, then you need to ring 111 immediately to get them an ambulance dispatched and do CPR. CPR.
You would think she'd know by now, wouldn't you?
No, but I'm meaning to you.
She does want your job.
Yeah, exactly. Fantasise. But to use one of those, if you see it, no one else is around, and I've got to use it. That's my fear, is I'm going to cause more damage to the person.
Yeah.
I'd rather not use it, if you know what I mean.
Well, they've literally been designed for anybody to use. They are very simple, 2 buttons, power and shock.
And that's it?
That's it. And it's got full voice-guided instructions.
How long have people got? So I have a cardiac arrest, as Amanda was hoping for. I have one of these things, and how long have I got?
Well, the rule of thumb is you lose 10% chance every minute you wait.
Okay, so basically after 5 or 6 minutes, it's all over.
Yeah.
Do I have to run?
No, sorry, it's not all over after 5 or 6 minutes. Definitely not. You never want to give up. I was speaking to a gentleman last week whose 6-year-old girl had a cardiac arrest off the back of their boat, and they didn't know what to do. She turned blue, and luckily there was a nurse on the shore who swam out. They had a defibrillator on her from the shore within 10 minutes, and they did CPR for 45 minutes.
They saved her?
Saved her.
So hold on, you also do CPR. So how many times do you give them a go?
So essentially you turn it on, you rip the clothes off the person's chest, you put the pads on, it'll instruct you, all voice-guided instructions, and then you do CPR as it says, start CPR. You do that pushing 5 to 6 centimetres deep into the chest, and continue that at the same pace as the song Staying Alive.
We'll put this one online. We will put this interview online rather than the Jerry Brownie one. This will go on... Jerry, I won't link the two. We will put this online. It's great stuff, Nick. Fantastic. Well done. And I hope you sell heaps. I hope you sell out. They should be in all school gyms to start with, shouldn't they?
Absolutely, school gyms, yes, absolutely, schools, churches, community centres, beaches, public places,
pubs, everywhere around the place.
Yes.
On every corner. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it, mate. All the very best.